I've always hated the way this side yard has looked. So I'm gonna grab some free pallets, and why don't you meet me in the shop and we'll get started. The first thing I want to do is grab that pallet. I'm gonna lay it down flat on my driveway, and then I'm gonna take my skill saw and cut right next to the nails, making sure I don't hit them. And once I got these pallet boards all cut up just like this, I need to square the ends because the skill saw doesn't make the perfect cut. I'll set it in the miter saw, give it a little trim, and then we'll head on over. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take a 2x4, 8 foot long. I'm gonna cut it right in half so I'll have two 4-foot pieces. That's perfect. Now we're gonna take these 4-foot pieces and head straight to the workbench. Once I get them cut, I'm gonna set them on the table. Then it's time to start laying out my pallet boards. They're not gonna be even, but I do wanna lay them where they're in the middle, but they're 3/4 of the way over. Then when I come from the other side, it's gonna lay over 3/4 of an inch. Now, you can use nails or you can use screws, but the brad nails are nice and easy. They go in and they're almost invisible once I place them. All right, I got them all nailed down, but as you can see, look at that. They're really jagged. So I'm gonna take my skill saw and cut each side perfectly straight. Here we go. Once I get that done, I'm gonna take one of those leftover pallet boards, cut it right down the middle in the half because I'm gonna make a planter. Once I get that done, I'm then gonna mix a little bit of epoxy glue together, mix it really well, and I'm gonna put it on the back side of the numbers. Last but not least, I wanna make sure that I paint the planter. I wanna make it black because I got the black numbers on the sides. All right, here it is. I love how this turned out. I love the planter, painted it black, and I put the 2 solar lights here with my house numbers. And watch this. When the sun goes down and it gets dark, look how beautiful that turned out. And I hope this inspired you to build your own wood blind.
I've got an eyesore in the front of my house, and it's my garbage can. I've got an inexpensive idea, and it happens to use pallets. What I'm going to do is get them squared up, and I want to make sure that they're just wide enough for the garbage can to go in and out without rubbing. Once I get it squared up and the sides are holding up pretty good, the next step is I got to cut some railings actually. These can be made out of 2x3s or 2x4s. Once they get cut, I'm going to measure about 7.5 inches down from the top. This is going to give me some good markings that I need to put each one on each side of the pallets. It doesn't take a lot of screws because not a lot of weight's going to go on there. Then I'm going to grab my reciprocal saw and I'm going to cut the less desirable pallet that's going to go on top. So all it takes is 3 good cuts. Once I do got this cut, what I can do is I could sand it down a little bit to make it look nicer, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and just slide it right on top. Take some care with this because when I put it on top, then I'm going to secure it with some screws. Once I got that, I want to go ahead and trim out the opening. I grabbed some old fence pallets that I had that were redwood, and I'm going to go ahead and just brad nail these on the top. I am also going to put it on the side. Now, it doesn't take a lot of nails to hold this in place because it doesn't weigh very much. So, once I get this on, I am going to go ahead and do the same on the sides. That way it looks more like a little bit of a door frame or anything when I put it on. Once it's all put together, then I can slide my garbage can in. Now, I want to decorate it. There's many options you can do. You can put some vines on the top around the sides, hang some pictures or anything like that. But I think it turned out really nice. Gets rid of that eyesore just having the garbage can out front. Just recently I completed my side yard, but what I don't like is the look of my sprinkler system and I want to hide it. I'm going to take some old logs that I cut down years ago. They've all dried out, but this log is too big. It took too long to cut through. So I grabbed a smaller one and started clearing the bark off. These will eventually fall off on their own, but I wanted to give it a good head start. Now, how I cut these is I went about 1 inch thick and used a Sawzall with a 12-inch blade. As you can see, I need to do it in a rocking back and forth motion. Right when I get towards the end though, I want to make sure that I hold it so that it doesn't fall and break when it hits the ground. As you can see, when it gets cut, it's going to look really good on the other side, and those are the sides I'm going to face out. I went ahead and cut 6 of these. I also want to lay them out so I can get the dimensions of how big my logs are going to be. And here's also the big one that I cut earlier. Once I get all these cut out, it's time to do the frame. I'm going to measure these at 17 inches, and I'm just going to use some inexpensive fir strips. I'm going to cut 3 of these pieces right here. Again, it's not a 2x4 because it doesn't need to hold a lot of weight, so these fir strips are going to work just fine. I'm going to lay out the 2 sides first, and then some smaller fir strips because those are what the logs are going to attach to. When I get that done, I'm going to use some brad nails. I don't need to lay down any wood glue. I'm going to put those in. I'm going to make them pretty strong because, again, it doesn't hold a lot of weight. It's just going to hold the wood rounds. Once I get that done, I'm going to put the L-shaped brackets on too. Those are just going to hold it because all I want to do is cover it on two sides. I'm going to take that bigger piece that I have, lay my frame on it, and brad nail it from the other side. I'm going to use 1.5 inch brad nails. I don't need to use wood glue or anything, and these won't poke through the logs on the other side. Now that I've got those 6 laid out, I'm just going to start brad nailing up and down. Again, using 1.5 inch brad nails, these are perfectly fine because then I know they won't stick out the other side. I did have a split in that one log, so I'm going to put some extra nails to hold it together. I'm going to keep going up and down, back and forth, and make sure I get it nice and secure. Once that is done, then I can go ahead and cut the top of some of these brackets that I have, these wood brackets, because I don't want those sticking up. Once I get that done, time to lay it in place. I actually think it turned out really good. It's a lot better than looking at the sprinklers, and who doesn't love some wood rounds? And I love the color dimensions on it. You get a little bit of different coloring depending on where you cut it through the wood. I hope you like this project as much as I did and inspired you to build your own wood round privacy. I finally got that hot tub that I've always wanted in the back porch, but neighbors are kind of close. First thing I'm going to do is get this free pallet I got, and it actually is in really good shape, but I've got to remove all the nails to use the boards. So I'm going to use my crowbar and my hammer, and I'm going to go through and very carefully loosen some of the boards. But you can't do the whole thing all at once. You got to work your way up and down and go back and forth to loosen the nails. Don't try to pull it all off at one time. You'll crack the boards. The reason I want to use this is as a free pallet, it's going to save me a lot of money on all the boards. Once you work your way up and down, look at that. It comes right out and it's easy to use. But we got to get rid of those nails. So all you got to do is turn it over. Go ahead and tap those nails on one side. Throw it back over the other side. Use the claw on your hammer. You can pull it apart or just use your hands and they'll pop right out. Now you've got a ton of boards you can use. Next step is to use 1.25 inch PVC pipe. We're going to cut 4 pieces at 12 inches long. This is going to be the base of a privacy screen. I'm using a PVC cutter here because it gives it a nice clean cut edge. You can use a hacksaw if you need to. Now the next step is to get a T. As you can see, 2 ends are 1.25 and the top is actually 1 inch. So take 2 of your 12 inch pieces and you're going to place that on each side of your base. This is going to give you a base of 24 inches. Next step we got to do is once we get the 2 legs together, we're going to paint them black. Now I'm going to take the 1 inch sides that are 4 feet long, and I'm going to use those with a spacer so each board is separated the same distance. You can lay them out and eyeball them this way if you want, or you can take a straight board and use that as a guide on getting all the slats straight. Once I do that, put them all in there, I'm going to take a 1.25 inch drywall screw and just drive it through the wood. And I'm going to use the same holes that I used pulling the nails out. That way we're not putting extra holes in there. As you can see, I can take the PVC pipe and bring it off the edge. It doesn't need to go all the way on the side. This one on the other side, it's already straight, ready to go. Just put it underneath. And again, you're going to pop those screws right in. Now you're going to take that base and you're going to put it on each end of your privacy screen. Now you can glue it, but I'm just going to go pop it on and it holds up really nice. The next step and the last step is to put some hooks on because I've got a great idea for it. It can hold up the towels too. So not only do I got a privacy screen, but I've got someplace to let my towels air out and dry. I hope this inspired you to build your own PVC pallet privacy screen. Thank you for watching Home Talk, and we'll catch you next time.